It sounds like an all too familiar story. Plumber from New York saves the day. Actually, it sounds like an alternate history in which the Cold War never ends and the USSR invades North America. Don't be fooled though, Freedom Fighters for the PS2, Xbox, GameCube and PC is far more than just a cheap knockoff of other games' ideas, but rather a pioneer that tried to do something a little bit different. In the game you play as Chris, a plumber working in New York in a world where the Soviet Union has expanded to cover most of the globe, leaving America as the last major stronghold for democracy. To the surprise of no one except our hero, the Russians invade the city, breaking down the door of the apartment where Chris and his brother are making a house call. By being extremely lucky you evade capture, bash a commie over the head with your spanner, and so begin the long journey towards liberating the city. For some reason you're quickly promoted to being one of the leaders of the resistance, despite A, being a plumber with no military training, and B, being established as having no interest in politics in the opening cutscene. What this means though is that you must lead a team of guerrillas in the field, taking out key Soviet targets and capturing important buildings. Initially, the game plays like your bog-standard third-person shooter offering standard twin-stick or mouse and keyboard controls. In addition, you have a very simple mechanism for controlling a squad of soldiers, telling them to either follow you, attack a position, or defend your current position. It's very easy to get to grips with and provides you with very clear tactical options, although it's not quite as precise as you might want. You could tell your team to assault a strong point from the front whilst you creep around the side with a grenade, have one soldier man a mounted gun to provide the rest of you with covering fire, or just have them support you as you charge into the breach. As you progress through the game, performing certain actions such as using a med kit to help wounded civilians or completing optional objectives will earn you charisma. The more charisma you have, the higher the number of rebels willing to follow you in battle. Freedom Fighter's biggest problem was that it was rather ahead of its time. The lack of a proper cover system means that sometimes you just can't help but take hits, and the ability to aim down the sights of a weapon doesn't change the random spread and low stopping power of most of the guns. When compared to major third-person shooters that have come out since, Freedom Fighters doesn't hold up when it comes to the combat, and titles like Rainbow Six Vegas have done squad command much better too. When you take into account the arcane checkpoint system, where it's only possible to save at certain points in each mission, you can see that had the game been made more recently, most of its negative points probably wouldn't exist. However, Freedom Fighters more than redeems itself when it comes to level design. Rather than being strictly linear, the game encourages the player to explore and find the easiest way towards achieving their goals. Each chapter consists of a handful of locations with different objectives to accomplish, which you can travel between freely using the city sewers. Completing missions in one location will have knock-on effects in the others, so if the helicopter patrolling the streets of the hotel is giving you trouble, a quick foray into the harbour to destroy the helipad should be your next objective. The levels themselves are quite open and offer multiple paths to get to your objectives, allowing you to avoid heavily fortified positions or snipe soldiers blocking you away from a nearby window. To counteract this, enemies are smart enough to identify where threats are coming from and navigate the environment in a believable way, so positioning squad mates to prevent enemies from flanking you is crucial. Combine all these elements together and you start to really feel like a rebel leader, trying to make tactical decisions on how best to use your limited resources. Despite its age, the game's presentation is pretty good. The story is a bit predictable and even nonsensical at times, but keeps you motivated to continue the fight, and the voice acting is surprisingly good considering half the cast talk with fake Russian accents. It's getting on a bit now, so the graphics aren't as impressive as they once were, the explosions being particularly laughable, but the stylized character models prevent it from looking too outdated. The music, on the other hand, is as strong as it always was, the choral tracks creating a subdued tone as you explored the captured city, and the strident synthesizers evoking memories of the 80s movies that are the game's inspiration. So, is Freedom Fighters worth playing today? Absolutely, if you can get past the parts that haven't aged very well. It may not excel at everything it sets out to do, but in its mission of putting the player right in the front lines of the battle for freedom, it doesn't miss the target.